I'm a psychiatrist, and today I thought I'd share with you something that I'm learning in my clinical practice when you're handling or when you're treating or when you're offering grief counseling to a person who has lost a loved one. So, when a person loses a loved one, that state of loss is what we call bereavement. And then the way they are going to respond to that loss is what we call grief. And we know that grief has got 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. And then the way they are going to carry themselves around, how they are going to manifest themselves during that period of grief, that's what we call mourning. So we go back to that state of loss. When you lose your loved one, how you lose your loved one is very important. And we are looking at the events that led to the death of the loved one. And if that person was there to witness it, or if that person was told about what happened to the deceased. So if it was tragic, if it was traumatic, those become sources of trauma to the bereaved, such that you might find that some people have not even acknowledged their state of loss. They are still traumatized by how their loved one died. And so they might be undergoing a mental disorder called acute stress disorder. And here we see that the person is experiencing or having intrusive thoughts that they are unable to control, and they keep coming to their head. They keep finding themselves dissociating from the environment, so they feel like they are in that situation where they had the last moments with their loved one. So if it was an accident, they keep finding themselves in that accident. If it happened in the house, or if it happened somewhere, or if they heard about it, they dissociate from the environment and they find themselves there. They might have nightmares about what happened. So they haven't actually come to the acknowledgement that their loved one is gone. They're still living in those moments, either right before their loved one died or just when their loved one died. And so it's very important to differentiate the two, because bereavement, a person can be very sad, they can be crying, they can be talking a lot. Their focus would be on the loss of the loved one and not so much on how the loved one lived their lives, because it's very fresh, it's very raw. And so for the bereavement, you probably won't need to give them any medication. They might have problems sleeping, but then they would catch up, the following day on their sleep. But with acute stress disorder, you might realize that they're not able to sleep. Their sleep is significantly disrupted, and it's impairing their ability to function. It's impairing their ability to take care of themselves. And so in this case, they might need to be put on medication to stabilize their acute stress disorder, so that they can be able now to enter the bereavement stage and to start grieving their loss. So it's very important when you're evaluating a person who has lost a loved one to assess for these things, so that you don't miss them